Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to quite possibly the best Valorant guide that you will ever find to help you rank up to your dream rank and truly escape heart-stuck elo. In this specific guide, I will go over all of the mistakes I personally have seen players in every single elo make, leading all the way up to Immortal by the way, and provide you with solutions to fixing those mistakes and escaping heart-stuck. You see, this video is different from everything else out there because it covers an issue that I had always been looking out for but could never find. A step-by-step specific rank guide to ranking up. You see, I have had the opportunity to play with and against every single rank possible, whether it be Iron players or heck, even Radiant players. In fact, I've hard diffed Radiant players in the past, with a lot of it being due to my positioning. My point being, rank is just an attribute, and if you're watching this video, you know that you have potential that is sleeping inside of you. And ladies and gentlemen, I am here to unlock that potential. And that brings us here to this specific guide. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, to start off, we have Iron. Now, players in Iron tend to either be brand new or lack, well, essentially every skill a person needs to rank up. However, if you find yourself in this rank, do not despair. The main things that you should focus on are crosshair placement. Now, I know every single guide says the same thing, but hear me out, this is only for Iron players. Now, believe it or not, in every rank, crosshair placement is very important, but in this specific rank, crosshair placement alone can carry you out of this elo. To put crosshair placement into the simplest of terms, you want to position your crosshair in the most optimal position to kill an enemy before they peek. In other words, ideally you want your crosshair positioned in areas that you can predict an enemy will peek. That last sentence I just said alone will start getting you to think more about the enemy's movements and how to find out where to position your crosshair based off the enemy plays. Here are two examples, one being good crosshair placement and the other being not so good crosshair placement. As you can see, it saves a lot of time when your crosshair is already trained on the opponent's head, rather than if you are aiming at the ground. And the more that you start to think about predicting enemy movements and having your crosshair ready, I can promise you, your ranking will skyrocket. You see, the best ways to actually improve your crosshair placements would be to go into a deathmatch and start off by moving your crosshair from one area to another while maintaining good crosshair placement. And after doing this for a bit, start by predicting enemy movements and being ready for them. Now that you've found your ways out of the starter pack and have arrived in the amazing rank of bronze, let me show you some cool tricks to help you escape quickly. Now, usually the biggest difference between a bronze player and a silver player lies in the aim. Here is where I'd highly suggest players start prioritizing training their aim. Now, as you've probably seen in a lot of these clips, I do happen to have pretty solid aim, especially for my rank. I tend to one-tap the majority of the players I face and have a solid 46% headshot rate with the Vandal. But this didn't come overnight. I spent countless hours training my aim, using everything and any program available to help me improve. And through my journey of aim training, I have concluded that the best utilities available for someone to use to truly improve their aim in this game are the following three things: deathmatch, the range, and team deathmatch. You have to understand that there is a reason why I only said these three things. There are a lot of players out there that will try and sell you on using these third-party aim trainers to improve. But I can almost promise you, if you spend the time you are spending on a third-party aim trainer, in the range instead for example, you are bound to improve your aim by leaps more, even just by doing a deathmatch. Now, believe it or not, I truly believe that getting out of bronze all comes down to improving your aim. We aren't at a rank yet where game sense is that big of a deal. Players in this rank still tend to be very lost on what's happening, and so simply out-aiming your opponents will get you out of this rank. Alright, now that you have improved on both your crosshair placement and your aim, you find yourself in Silver. Silver is a really interesting rank. You find yourself in games where you either do really good or really bad. Perhaps you find yourself in situations where there is only one good player on the other team, and that is the sole reason why your team is losing. In all honesty, Silver is a wild card of a rank, and the best way to actually get out of this rank is to start baiting your teammates. I want you to start putting yourself in positions to trade your teammates. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? Here is a little example I put together in a custom game with a friend. As you can see, I am positioned well far behind my teammate in this example. Since it seems that my team has decided to push A site this round, I know that we are headed into enemy territory. In this scenario, I allow my teammate to be the first one to take contact, and then I simply swing off of that. You see, the idea here is to continue to improve your aim and crosshair placement and start putting yourself in positions to trade your teammates. Essentially, what this does is it creates an effect where not only are you constantly improving at the game, but you are also improving your game sense without even realizing, forcing you to think of where enemies play and where exactly you need to be positioned to get a good trade. With these 3 skills in your arsenal, you are now able to rank up to Gold, the elo that all players, high and low, are scared of the most. You see, to be quite honest, Gold Elo is truly one of a kind. You will encounter all sorts of players in this insane Elo, some of the craziest aimers you will ever meet, some of the lowest IQ plays you will ever see, and all sorts of absurd things. And despite how difficult it may seem to get out of this rank, I assure you, it is very possible. And once you escape this Elo, it'll never feel the same again. You'll be able to consistently get out anytime you want once you are back in. Now, you have to understand that Gold is one of those ranks that, while in the moment may seem difficult to escape, it is actually really easy once you become very proficient at a certain aspect of the game. What exactly do I mean by this? Well, you see, the secret to getting out of Gold is either becoming the better aimer, or having the bigger brain, or even using your utility better. Believe it or not, by just being way better than everybody else in your lobby at just one of those 3 things will help you climb really fast and escape Gold. Because the reality of Gold is, everyone stuck there is decent at everything, yet not extremely proficient at one. So you being that one player, for example, that has way better aim than everyone else in that lobby will make it very easy for you to abuse that aspect of the game. Even being the best in the lobby at something like knowing when and how to use your utility, or just having the bigger brain and getting behind your enemies will help you climb. So my overall tip to all the Gold players out there, find an aspect of the game that you enjoy the most and practice and practice and practice and practice some more until you become so good at that specific aspect, until you get to a point where you are just better than every other player in your lobby at that specific aspect of the game. And once you have done that, you will find yourself climbing out of Hearts to Gold before you even know it. Now, it looks like you have arrived in the rank of Plat. Now here is where we need to take a step back and discuss a couple of things. Firstly, if you have made it to this rank on a bad setup, congratulations, you are already pretty good at the game. However, moving forward, it'll only be holding you back. So always feel free to make that upgrade. You see, I originally used to play on a 60Hz monitor with around 100 FPS max, and I believe I made it to plat on that. After I upgraded to a 165Hz, I reached diamond in no time. So understanding that your setup holding you back is a real thing is step 1 of this journey to the top. If you have the spare money and you believe it is worth the investment, then by all means, go for it. Now that we got that out of the way, escaping plat is honestly rather simple. At this point in your journey, you should find that you have become very competent at many different skills on different levels. Escaping plat will honestly come down to the level of understanding you have on the game. Fixing things like positioning, learning about off angles, and understanding good timings will separate you from the rest at this rank. I plan on dropping an in-depth guide showing you some of the best off angles for every single map in my next video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Trust me, you do not want to miss it, especially considering that almost 90% of every match I've ever played, I spent getting one-taps from off angles, and those first bloods almost always got me match MVPs and helped me a lot when ranking up. With that being said, once you have increased your knowledge of the game and started to abuse those off angles, you will find it very easy to get out of plat. However, do not forget to constantly be improving at all aspects of the game. Sometimes it is easy to simply zone in on a single aspect, but when you're in the higher ranks, every single aspect matters. So my overall tip for all plat players out there, get your game sense up, grind the game a lot. In all honesty, when it comes to rank like plat, it all comes down to those first bloods and you staying alive after. So figure out how you can do that. And once you figure that out, you'll be able to secure rounds. And once you can secure rounds, you'll find yourself suddenly in diamond elo. Or so you think. Foolish. It was all a genjutsu. My apologies, but you see, Itachi is actually not wrong about this one. You see, diamond elo is without a doubt no different than high plat elo. In fact, diamond elo can be broken up into 2 separate categories. Diamond 1 and diamond 2 are essentially the same category as plat 3, and it is only diamond 3 and onward where you really face a change of pace. But in all honesty, it's not hard to escape diamond elo. In fact, it might be one of the easiest ranks to rank out of. And the reason that I say this is because throughout your journey, you've actually come across all sorts of players. Really good ones, really bad ones, low IQ, and you've learned how to adapt to every single situation. So by the time you make it to diamond, you are essentially ready to adapt to any situation. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that you'll always have good teammates, but at the very least, they are way more competent than the teammates that you've probably encountered throughout your journey here. And in all honesty, I think the biggest tip for all diamond players out there to get out of that elo is to just gather info on how the enemy plays and use your utility better to counter them. Now, I'm sure a lot of people were probably expecting something like comms and communication, and do not get me wrong, those things are very important and very valuable to this game. But let me let you in on a little secret. If you got any player, Immortal 2 and above, I can almost promise you that they can find a way to solo queue all the way from Iron to Immortal 1 with 0 comms. In fact, I was able to go from Bronze all the way to Ascendant with almost no comms whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying this to make you think there is no point in calming, but rather to help you awaken your mind. You need to understand that the mental that you have going into your matches are just as important as your aim and everything else. You see, the reality of this game is your teammates are not holding you back as much as you think they are. A lack of comms between teammates is also not holding you back as much as you think they are. The moment that you switch your mindset from "it's my teammates' fault" to "oh, well perhaps if I was just way better than all these opponents of ours," perhaps we would be winning this game, you will start to see a drastic improvement. So, with those tips in mind and that mentality in mind, you find yourself in Ascendant in no time. However, there is still one step missing here. You see, if you stuck till the very end of this video, I wanted to leave you guys with a little secret that will help you increase your chances of winning.